guys. So just as a really quick one, I'm the recruiter here at Okta. When I'm interviewing like SDRs and BDR candidates, one thing that always comes up is progression, like progression. So I wanted to get some people who have progressed through Okta and just ask them some questions about their personal story and give you some tips and tricks about, obviously, you're looking to get into the industry, but what's next? You're ambitious people, you're always going to look for the next step. So do you guys want to just give a quick intro, like how long you've been here and what you do? That would be amazing.
Hi everyone, my name is Asulka. I've been at Okta for just over a year. So I started as a BDR, which is just doing inbound, and then as of Jan, I got promoted to an SDR, and I look after public sector, which is central government, local government, and universities. So yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Gavin Moore, so as my lovely photo says there, I'm an account executive here at Okta since January. So I joined the company 2 years actually next week, so I spent I think 19 months originally in the SEO role, supporting our enterprise business, and then moved into an account executive role in what we call our emerging space in January this year, so just 4 months into that now.
Hi everyone, my name is David, and I joined around the same time as Gavin, so about 2 weeks afterwards. I started as an SDR, then moved up to senior SDR, and then account executive back in January. So yeah, 4 months in the role as well, working in the emerging space. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. So it'd be good to know kind of your background prior to Okta. Like, did you start off straight from uni in sales, or what was your kind of backstory?
So I finished uni 2 years ago, and I joined a company called Huddle as their office manager. About 6 months into the role, I kind of got quite bored of it. It wasn't challenging enough, so I started kind of shadowing different departments within the company. Their customer success team, help desk team, and that's how I kind of started in sales shortly afterwards. And then Okta approached me, and then I started working here January as a BDR.
Yeah, so I finished up university back in just over 2 years ago now, and then for a couple of months I worked in Dublin in what was kind of a sales role, but it was primarily inbound, and it wasn't very challenging. I did that for a couple of months, and then really I wanted to get into a SaaS company, because I decided a couple of years back that sales was something that I wanted to go into, and I saw the SDR role as really a good platform for that. So Okta was my first kind of true SDR role, doing the outbound thing in a SaaS company. So yeah, that was kind of my path there.
Yeah, mine's a bit different, I guess. So I finished university in 2013, and just did a business degree. Didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do, so I moved to London, got a job at a recruitment company, which was specialising in investment banking recruitment. So I really enjoyed the environment, the kind of target getting, KPI kind of situation, but the industry wasn't really that, I wasn't that interested in it, so I kind of wanted to get into tech. So I actually have a friend who's also from Cork in Ireland who works with Okta. Met him for dinner randomly, and he said there was some SDR jobs going here. One thing led to another, got the role, and that's how I ended up here, and then moving into the AE role. So that's my path.
Thanks. And from your previous career, do you think there's any skills that you brought from what you were doing before, maybe at university or stuff? What kind of skills are going to set you up for success here?
So my history was PA work and kind of office manager, receptionist work. So I think the thing I kind of learned the most is being organised, being very methodical about my work, keeping track of everything. Because in sales, you need to know you've got KPIs, you need to know your conversion rate. So I think mostly being organised. Also at university, I was student ambassador, so I kind of put myself out there. I'm not a very confident person, but it's kind of sometimes you have to force it a little bit. And in sales as well, you can't be really timid on the phone, so you just have to speak out. Even if you're shy, you just have to fake it till you make it in a way.
So I think for me, when I started, if you'd asked me that question and said, what do you think from your experience so far is going to be your most valuable asset? I would have thought about things like, presentations I've done, experience I've had working on the phones in customer support roles and stuff like that I did. It was all around the kind of speaking element and engaging people on what you have to say. I think that's changed a lot the last 2 years in the sense that now I realise that 80% of the importance is actually in your listening and understanding what they're saying and showing that you can hear what they're saying and relaying that back to them. I had this impression that sales is all about just spitting information to people, and really it's not. I mean, that's only a very, very small part of it. So, yeah, I suppose to answer the question, it's what I thought was my most valuable assets and stuff that I was bringing from previously isn't really what transpired to be that. So, yeah.
So for me, I think it's two things. So organisation, number one, from the previous role, would have had any number of roles on at once that I was recruiting for. So really learning how to get things in order early on and then bring that forward to this role, especially in the emerging sales space where it's small, fast-moving companies, so things move quite quickly and there's a lot to manage. And then the second thing that I would have brought forward was, in my previous role, I would have went out meeting a lot of senior people because I covered the contract market, and in the contract market it's a lot more senior people going for roles in banks. So really kind of being able to have a conversation with someone at a high level for 45 minutes, an hour, and then bringing that forward to calling people and meeting people in this role.
Okay, cool. And this is a good question because obviously you guys were SDRs, now you're account executives, and obviously that's okay, you work with account executives now. What is advice you could give on building a good relationship with your account executives that's going to set you up for the next step? What have you done and what could you recommend?
I'd probably say work hard from day one. I think it's kind of like they see from the beginning that you're hardworking. Some months might be a bit low on your target, but if they can see that you work really hard, they're more willing to give you time to sit down with you and give you that one-to-one support. Like I mentioned, I do public sector, which is for Okta, it's a new territory that we kind of have a more focus on. So I work a lot close with my A's to come up with more creative ideas to do outbounding because we don't have a lot of contacts in our sales force, for example. With GDPR, we can't just buy huge lists of contacts and leads that I can reach out to, so I need to be a lot more creative. And I work very closely with my account executives to come up with ideas, to come up with events that we need to attend. And I would say just sit down with them weekly. I have a spreadsheet of everything that we do, so it's like a bi-weekly report that I keep, so I can keep track of everything that we've done, the success we've had, so we can kind of repeat success and come up with ideas.
So I would say, obviously hard work is the first thing, and for your A's to recognise that you're working hard. But I think the single biggest thing, and a lot of things fall underneath this, is just communication, and just having that constant communication channel with your A's. Not only for good news, I mean it can be difficult sometimes, because we all know we have good weeks and we have bad weeks, but during those bad weeks or months where you maybe think you haven't got much to report back or you haven't got much to say, share the bad news. So if you get a hold of someone you're trying to get a hold of for 3 weeks, and you get them and maybe the conversation doesn't go well, relay that back, because at least then you know that the effort's there and at least you're trying. And I always say any update is a good update, because it just shows you're working and you kind of build that respect on the back of that. But then also, I think as an SDR, sometimes people have a tendency to, you book a meeting or you book a demo or whatever the case may be, and then you step back and you just completely lose all interest and involvement. I always try to just show interest in deals and stuff, so if I source a deal, I constantly ask for updates. I just show that I'm interested and show that I care, because then that goes a long way in just building a good relationship.
Yeah, to follow up on those 2 points, I guess the main thing about, almost being friends with your account executive and continuing to ask how the deal is going, what's that close for, it really kind of keeps that relationship up. So to build on Gavin's point on that, but it's also to keep them involved in any campaigns they're doing. So that was quite successful for me towards the latter end of my SDR career, when you were sending out campaigns, but you were filling them in on the different type of news reports you had looked at, and just keeping them involved the whole way, using things like Chatter on Salesforce or any CRM you use, just to keep updating them. Really just to have that two-way relationship.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to ask one last question. So, you guys you help me with interviewing SDRs and BDRs. Is there any interview advice you would give to prospective candidates who are like going out there and they want to like represent themselves the best? Like, what would you recommend for them?
Well, I've done quite a few interviews recently, and what I really noticed is that show that you're energetic. We get a lot of people come in who just don't have that. They haven't done research, they haven't done the drive, and you can tell that really quickly. So I would suggest, like Tony mentioned earlier, as well as like do your research on the company, know their mission statement, know their values, and see how you can relate to that and show that in an interview. Show that you're passionate about sales, that you are competitive, but you're also a team player. And just really have that drive, that energy, like why do you want to join the company, why would you be excited to sell identity management or whatever other product that they're selling. Do your research, understand the product a little bit, and see if it's a good fit for you, for your culture, your career development.
So I think a big thing for me is if you are doing an SDR interview, and most people who go into the SDR role don't want to be in the SDR role forever. For me, it was a stepping stone. I knew I wanted to go into sales, so I made that very, very clear in my SDR interview that look, this is what I see as a great platform for me to make that next step. So I made that very, very clear and made sure that I showed ambition beyond the job that I was interviewing for, and I think that usually resonates quite well. The other thing is it's just a general behaviour in an interview, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of, it's great if somebody can sit down and say 100 things about Okta in our case, or whatever the company may be, and know the name of the CEO, and know the name of the products, and all that type of great stuff. But it's also about behaving like a salesperson and kind of doing that listening and showing the empathy and showing the determination and all these sort of traits that salespeople need to have. So, if somebody tells you something, it's not just kind of nodding and then telling them something else, it's relaying what they've said and kind of following on from it, and just kind of behaving in the way that people expect you to behave in the role. I think that's definitely important.
Yeah, there's two things for me. So I guess around, I think someone mentioned earlier, but if you're getting interviewed and someone asks you about the numbers or facts and figures, don't just give an answer. Always have proof of that, or in a previous role, even if it's a role while you're in university, just have those facts and figures behind the answer, otherwise you just get stuck. The second thing for me would be around the drive. So it's more of a soft thing, but someone told me, I guess early in my career, was when you're being interviewed for something in a certain sales role, most people will say, if you want to be motivated by, people will say money, progression, will always have that knock-on effect. So why do you want a lot of money? Why do you want to progress? And I think that really shows that you've thought about why you want the role and how far you want to go with it.
And also just to add to that, just want to say, it's like you're not just being interviewed, you're interviewing the company as well, because obviously I want to make sure that I'm a good fit for the company as much as the company is a good fit for you. So always, if you have any questions, always make sure you ask as well, because you want to make sure that's the company you want to join, because you don't want to be at a company for 6 months. You want to have a career that's not for a while, something like that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.